Boys and girls, today we are going to explain the concept of power grid dispatching and the task of it. The course of grid dispatch operation generally includes the following main aspects. The first part is the basic understanding of power grid dispatching, the concepts and tasks of power grid dispatching regulations, and the guidelines for electric power system safety and stability, etc. The second part is the normal operation of the power grid, such as line switching operation, main transformer switching operation, busbar operation, etc. The third part is the integrated control of the power grid, such as the adjustment system for certain voltages, frequency adjustment, etc. The fourth part is the handling of power grid anomalies, such as knife switch heating, P-potential transformer open circuit with sulfur hexafluoride leakage, low-pressure knockouts in circuit breakers, and so on. The fifth part is the handling of power grid accidents, such as line trips, main transformer trips, and switch failures to operate, etc. The basic calculation of power grid dispatching mainly includes several aspects. The first one is the structure and management of China's power grid dispatching, the basic principles of grid dispatching management, the basic understanding of power grid dispatching regulations, the examples of dispatching regulations, and the guidelines for the safety and stability of the electric power system. Now, let's explain them one by one. The first one is the concept of grid dispatching. In the grid dispatch management regulations, the term grid dispatch refers to the grid dispatching agency, also known as the dispatch agency, in order to ensure the safe, high quality and economic operation of the power grid, and the organization, command and coordination of the power grid operation. The power grid dispatching should conform to the requirements of the socialist market economy and the objective laws of the power grid operation. The second one is the tasks of the power grid dispatching, which mainly includes 5 aspects. The first aspect is to meet the needs of the load to the maximum extent possible, with the development of economic construction and the continuous improvement of people's living standards. The demand for electricity in the whole society is overgrowing. Objectively, sufficient power generation and transmission equipment and adequate power resources are required. Therefore, how to satisfy the load demand to the maximum extent with the maximum capacity of existing equipment has become an important task for grid dispatching. The second aspect is to ensure the safe and reliable operation and continuous power supply of the entire power grid. Since electric energy cannot be stored in large quantities, power generation, supply and consumption should be completed simultaneously. If the power grid stops supplying power, it will cause losses, and the power grid is required to provide continuous power supply to power users. Firstly, it is necessary to ensure the safe and reliable operation of the entire power grid. Due to historical reasons, the weak structure of China's power grid, combined with the destruction of natural forces and potential defects in equipment, may result in interruptions to the power grid supply. At this time, the dispatch agency should take measures to ensure uninterrupted power supply primarily. And secondly, if power supply is affected, impact should not be too extensive. The third aspect is that even if it becomes inevitable, the dispatch agency must minimize the affected area to the greatest extent possible and work swiftly to restore power supply, thereby maintaining the quality of electricity. We all know that the power quality is typically assessed using 3 primary indicators: voltage, waveform, and frequency, and the power quality is not solely determined by a single component, such as a power plant, but rather depends on the coordinated operation of all power generation, supply, and consumption units across the entire grid. This requires the dispatch agency to command the coordinated operation of the entire grid in a unified manner so that we can obtain qualified and high-quality electricity that meets the needs of users. The fourth aspect is the economical and rational use of energy, which involves operating the entire grid at maximum economic efficiency to minimize fuel consumption per kilowatt-hour and losses during power transmission, thereby minimizing supply costs. One of the tasks of grid dispatch is to take into account factors such as generator economics, distribution of natural resources, and grid transmission methods. This includes the reasonable arrangement of the generator output, start, stop, and shutdown, to optimize maximum grid efficiency while minimizing energy consumption. The fifth aspect is that in accordance with relevant contracts or agreements, to ensure the legitimate rights and interests of parties involved in power generation, supply, and consumption, the grid dispatch agencies should adhere to the national laws and regulations, and under the premise of satisfying the safe, stable, and economic operation of the power system, and the principle of fairness and transparency, it should, in terms of information disclosure about dispatching operation and management, treat all market entities equally, and uphold the legitimate rights and interests of all relevant parties. Okay, that's all for the basic understanding of power grid dispatching. In this lesson, goodbye, boys and girls.